All right, having said all of this, we continue to explore what is enculturation and what are the characteristics of Chinese enculturation. First, enculturation is the process by which youngsters learn to adopt the ways and manners of their specific culture. Okay? And cultural agents include people like family members, school teachers, friends, and employees, the people around, and they help to install cultural values in children and reinforce those cultural values when they are properly learned and practiced. On this, we talk about a cultural self and a cultural identity. The cultural self may be defined as the self-perceptions and the self-structure that are embedded in a network of domain-specific knowledge of the cultural structures, whereas cultural identity may be defined as one's descriptions, expectations, and goals of self in different cultural contexts. And we can say the Chinese cultural identity or ethos is characterized by respect for authority and seniority, humility, diligence, interpersonal harmony, obedience, and so on. And this is part of our cultural genes, if you can say in such a way. And having described all of this, let's invite Professor Peng Kai-ping to talk about his famous fish movement experiment to illustrate the cultural difference of the interdependence and the independence. Let's watch the videotape. And before you watch it, I want you to think about these questions. First, what is culture and what constitutes a culture? And second, what does the fish movement experiment explain the cultural differences between the Chinese and the American? And three, what did Professor Peng explain about the differences? And then four, what do you learn from watching this videotape?
What is culture? Is it the clothes we wear? Or the languages we speak?
Schreib mal eine Postkarte.
Is it the foods we eat? Or the foods we don't? Is it the way we worship? Or the art we create? Is it where we live? Or the ways we play?
Culture is all of these things and more, beyond rituals, dances, and dialects. It is the very scaffolding of our psyches, how we think, what we feel, how we relate to others, and who we think we are, all depend on the culture around us.
Even how we interpret behavior can reveal how culture shapes us. What do you see happening in this aquarium? Is this fish a brave fish going along on her own? Or has she been kicked out of school for not following the rules? Kai-ping Peng of the University of California at Berkeley and his colleague Michael Morris of Stanford University study how people from East Asia and North America interpret behaviors differently. They have developed a method which uses cartoons of fish to represent social interactions. In one study, American and East Asian subjects were asked why the fish moved as they did.
American subjects pay more attention to the individual fish, individuals' movements, and individuals' desires. And the Asian subjects pay more attention to the movement of the group fish.
Next, they were asked to pay attention to the blue fish on the right, then to describe the reasons for the blue fish's behavior.
And Americans always talk about individual fish wanting to get away from the group, tired of the group, hate the group, wanting to be the leaders of the group. Whereas Chinese and the Japanese students were more likely to say the individual fish couldn't get along with the group fish. The group fish kick out the individual fish, and they just don't like this individual fish.
Okay, you have watched the videotape. and you heard about Professor Peng's experiment. You can also see how Professor Peng looked when he was a young and gay many years ago at UC Berkeley. And he's actually a pioneer scholar in studying about cultural differences between the West and the Chinese since 1990s, a new era for cross-cultural psychology.